Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns. Yana Kasperczak coming back to you live every Thursday at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time to do these weekly get your shit together weekly live guidance with myself, Yana Kasperczak. And as your certified professional performance and spiritual awakening coach, it has been my soul's purpose to help women, to help you get your shit together so you can break free from the mental prison that you find yourself in and build a life and a business that you're obsessed with, that you're happy and excited to wake up to. That maybe one day, instead of loving sleep, you're going to hate sleeping. Or maybe hate is a really big word. I don't particularly like that word. Very strong word. But not be so found and so excited to go to sleep that maybe you're not going to want to sleep that much because your life is that amazing and that exciting to be awake to and for and through. Okay? So, one of the things that I hear very often that women struggle with is that they feel disrespected by their partner or by their siblings or their friends or their family. Those that they actually care about, those that they actually love the most. And this is why I wanted to bring this topic today to talk about with each and every one of you, because this is one of the biggest reasons why you are in this Facebook group, this Facebook tribe, this Facebook community, Heal the Unicorn, Emotional Healing and Spiritual Growth for Women, because the way that you communicate with people and the way that you allow people to communicate with you, you're teaching them how to treat you. You're teaching them how to talk to you by by trying not to take things personal when they clearly were, by letting people get away with what they say and how they treat you, you are going to continue doing that. Because the longer that you wait to say something to do about it, the harder it will be. So, this goes without saying that eventually you start getting hurt. And eventually you will find yourself in this Facebook community or another Facebook community or another community that is similar to it, that is the goal at its core is to help you heal yourself, is to help you heal your heart, your soul, your spirit, your life, your existence, your mind. So sooner or later, you will find yourself in a place like this, in a space like this, because you finally wake up and realize, what the fuck have I been doing? How did I get to this point in my life that this person is disrespecting me and this person is disrespecting me and that and this, and you just feel like a dirty mop, or you feel like a doormat that everybody just walks on, and you find yourself walking on those dead eggshells that no matter how quietly you walk on those eggshells, they crack, they break, they even hurt your feet as you walk on them. I invite you to try it out just for a science experiment, just for funsies. Try it out. Go make some eggs, keep some eggshells, or maybe don't even cook the eggs. Just use the eggs and you keep the eggshells, dry them, and then try walking on them. Try walking on them. And that will be a physical reminder to not walk on eggshells anymore. To find an encouragement, a motivation, a goal, or an inspiration, or something to aspire to find your voice. You have it. And you have been using it, but you have not been using it in a way that has been paying you back. It needs to be paying you back in dividends. That it's compound interest in dividends, that you're just living off that interest from you living your life and showing up for your life. So how about compound interest? Okay, there we go. I thought that there would be comments. Hello, Jessie Wood. How are you, beautiful? Jessie says, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you as well. Thank you for being on here. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you. So let's go into first talking about, I think it's important to understand and really spend a little bit of time understanding the difference between respect and disrespect for women versus men. Because here's, for most of you, it's your partners that you have a challenge with and that you're looking to have my help and helping you get to a better place in your relationship. Even though I'm not a relationship coach, I help you to get your shit together, and in return, your relationship becomes a place you actually want to be, a safe haven, if you will. So, and the reason why I say that is because it is our job as wives, as partners, to take care of those we love and care about. And that means also taking care of what and giving what our partners are asking of us. If they're asking for more respect, because that's what one of the main things a man needs and wants. He wants respect, just like you. Just sounds and means a little bit different to the two of you. And then it brings me to this question. If your partner asks you for more respect, did you go and look up what that means to a man? What respect means to a man? Did you ask him, what do you mean by more respect? Let me know what you mean and how you would want me to show up in a more respectful way. Have you done the research and have you had the conversation? When I asked that question, just a few times I've heard the response that I got back was, yes, I talked to him, but he wasn't even able to tell me exactly what he wanted. Okay, so did you try to have that conversation again? No. Why not? I was too scared. Why were you too scared? Well, I was scared I was gonna upset him, or he would say something that I didn't want to hear. Well, what would happen if he said something you didn't want to hear? Right? And then that leads into a different conversation. Because sometimes we're scared of something that we think is real, but it actually is not. We are scared of this big monster, where in reality, it's not a monster. It's this voice in our head that is keeping us from speaking up. It's keeping us from connecting intimately with our partner because of that fear. So, if you want respect, sometimes you gotta give. Sometimes you might not recognize how you are showing up disrespectfully, and therefore you don't get it. And vice versa, right? The same thing goes for everyone else. If they want it, they must earn it. So, for women, respect. Let's go through this. Respect for women is validating her emotions. Simple, right? And not validating in the way, and this is where sometimes other people get it wrong. And women also can get this part wrong. So you have women in your life that might be disrespecting you, and you're emotionally charged right now because we are going through our own cycles every single month. And the women in your life might also not be respecting you because now you're too sensitive, you're too emotional. They'll use those words. And those words don't help. That is not a validation of emotions. Women often feel respected when their feelings are acknowledged and taken seriously. Sometimes all a woman needs is a damn hug. That's it. and if men are listening to this, if your woman is too sensitive, too dramatic, don't use those words. Don't say that. Don't call her out on it. She already knows. She just does not want or need you calling her out, because that's not going to help the situation. It never has, and it never will. So, instead, acknowledge how she's feeling. Let her express herself. Take her seriously. And give her a damn hug. That's it. Listen like you give a fuck. Give it some attention without judgment. And that is going to be the crucial part of a woman, and the same thing for a man, to feel valued and understood. Yes, we want respect in a little bit of different way than men, but men do want it in the same ways that we do sometimes. A woman needs, this is how she receives respect, support, and encouragement. You as a woman, you have goals, you have dreams, you have aspirations. For now, if you're raising kids, it might be just to have some alone time, to have a bath, to go to the bathroom uninterrupted. It might be that simple. So then, that is what the woman needs. That is what you give her. And later on, it might be go on vacation with just your friends, without kids, without your partner, or maybe just you and your partner having some date nights. It's also important to know what is it that you actually want, because a lot of women don't even know what they want. And that's the scary part, because schools don't teach that, parents don't teach that, and they also teach us to really not like learning all of those things in people. They teach us not to like to learn for many different reasons. Like, think of all the subjects you took in school. Which ones did you like, and which ones you hated? And let's be honest, you probably didn't like studying for any of them. So women, they want encouragement. They need support on their goals, towards their goals, and also with their boundaries. And a woman, this is one of the ways that a woman will feel seen and feel worthy. So you get what you give. So especially to a woman, you give a woman a house, she will make it into a home. You give a woman a seat, she'll make it into a baby, or maybe even 2 or 3 babies. Whatever you give a woman, she will multiply. That's what a woman does. So if you receive what you don't like from a woman, pay attention to what you're giving. And a man will reflect what a woman is giving as well. So it could be like a double-edged sword sometimes. And most people don't do the work on themselves, which is also an encouragement and a reminder that every person in a relationship needs to focus on themselves and on their own personal growth. A woman also wants to feel like she's an equal and she's treated fairly as well, whether it's in a relationship, yes, and in the workspaces or workplaces as well, where you are not the one making all the decisions, that you take a moment to listen to what your woman has to say, and vice versa. Decisions are meant to be made together as partners. If you and your partner have a business, are you going to go and make decisions yourself for the business? If you do, you know what's going to happen sooner or later, right? Same thing in relationships. That's the part of the equality and the fair treatment that women also need. They don't want to be, sidelined or ignored or feared of, that I was too scared to ask you or to get your opinion on that. And if they're saying that, listen to it. Listen to what they're actually saying. Why are you scared of me? What can I do to help you not feel scared. Also, women want honesty and transparency. That's pretty straightforward, right? Another one is personal boundaries, where respecting her boundaries, her personal boundaries, whether it's emotional boundaries, whether it's physical boundaries, or whether those boundaries are time-based boundaries. Often women feel that this is the area where they need a little bit more respect in, and helping create a safe and mutually respectful relationship. Now, for a woman, how would she feel disrespected? Pretty much the opposite of everything that I just said. When her feelings are being dismissed, ignored, belittled, or being used against her to make her feel stupid or too sensitive. The phrase that some of you might be familiar with is when she feels like she's being gaslit, like gaslighting her. That's how she's going to feel disrespected if her feelings are not seen, heard, supported, and validated. And the next one is talking about boundaries. If you overstep her boundaries, if you cross those boundaries, she is not going to be okay with that. Every human being needs the time, the space, the physical space, the emotional space sometimes as well. And when those are crossed, quickly comes across as disrespect. Another one is inconsistency, or you being unreliable, that she cannot rely on you. Or you say you're going to show up this way, and then you show up that way for a little bit, and then you don't. You say you're going to do something, and then you don't. You go back and forth, and doing something and then not doing it. Doing something and then not doing it. This shows and speaks loudly of inconsistency. And someone who is working on themselves will dig deeper and understand where it's coming from and fix that shit. And I know all of you ladies are doing that in yourself, and that way you're starting to see your relationship improve in one way or another. And you cannot expect to have a relationship that doesn't have any disagreements, it doesn't have its ups and downs. That's part of the growth and evolution of every relationship. You learn so much from those moments. You're simply asking and expecting your partner and yourself to not have emotions throughout your whole entire life. And you can't ask that of anyone, including yourself. There are going to be moments that something is said or something is done, or even maybe there was a wrong look, and maybe you were too sensitive or too tired, or you were emotionally charged. Whatever cycle you're going through in your life, there's going to be moments when you're simply going to be triggered, where you're going to be sensitive. It's normal. It's part of the journey that we call life. It's gonna have its ups and downs. And it's normal for your partner to challenge you, or for you to feel challenged or triggered by your partner, or friends or family members, or maybe even a troll online. Like, it can come from a lot of different places, but then you're triggered, and none of you in the group, but most people will end up just going within in a negative way and wallowing in that self-pity and questioning themselves and what's wrong with them and why this keeps happening. And essentially they're just breathing life into something that does not need life. What it does need is, it needs attention to go within and see exactly what's happening, why it's happening, and then work through it. And these things are usually much more helpful when they're done with someone else. That it's not just you on your own, because very often you might have found yourself in this place where you'll say certain things, you'll ask a question, but you're beating around the bush, you're not really answering. But when you're working with someone, whether it's a psychiatrist, therapist, coach, or counselor, they're not going to let you get away with not answering it. And then when they hear your answer, that might help them to understand you a little bit more and in which direction they need to go with their questions as well. Also, when a woman feels dismissed, or her ideas are ignored, or she feels like her dreams are not valuable or important or stupid, and the same thing with goals. And also when a woman feels like she's being patronized, right, belittled, or the condescending attitudes, or this joking type of approach where through your jokes you say whatever you want to say, and haha, it's a joke, but to her it's not a joke. You have just said some mean or hurtful things through the jokes that actually were not jokes. One of the phrases I actually grew up with, and I continue to live by that phrase, because it really then helps me to understand a little bit more, especially when people are joking, because to every joke there's some truth. Think about comedians. When they're on the stage, the reason why it's funny is because some of the things they're saying, if not all of the things they're saying, they're true. And that's why people are able to laugh about it. And then there are other people who are not able to laugh about it because they still haven't done enough healing. So, to every joke, there's some truth. So, careful how you joke, and pay attention to how other people around you are joking as well. It does not mean you need to take things personally, but it means you need to take notes and pay attention to what is being said, because that becomes an opportunity for you to speak up, say something in a positive way, or learn from it and do better next time. Now, for men want acknowledgement of their abilities and contributions, financially, physically, emotionally, and spiritually as well. Now, financially, that one is pretty obvious. Physically, it doesn't just mean behind closed doors. Mind you, when you're in your home, the doors are closed regardless. It also means that once in a while, let him open that pickle jar that you can't open. And then you can flirt and say, hey, you're so strong. Look at those muscles. I did everything I could to open that jar, and I couldn't. Right? This is the things that men need. In some ways, they're similar, because we also, like for us, we want to be praised for our abilities and being a great mother, of taking care of the house. But sometimes the men do those things, and they want to feel acknowledged and validated and supported in ways that you are an amazing contributor. You provide safety and security, and you bring an income home, right? You bring your strength home as well, right? You're here to take care of us, and you're here for us. Because if they didn't want to be here, they could have already left to get milk. Right? We've all heard of those. So men often associate respect with recognition of their efforts and contributions, whether in professional or personal settings. Feeling valued and capable reinforces their sense of respect, and they will want to do more. They want to do more and more, so that way they can get more acknowledgement and more feeling like they're contributing. You say thank you, you acknowledge them for it, they'll give you more and more and more. Just like women, right? They also want trust and autonomy. Many men feel respected when they're trusted to make decisions. Yes, we do want to make decisions as a couple, but he wants to be able to make decisions in some areas of your life together, in his life as well, where he has the expertise, where he is better at it than you. And letting him and allowing him and encouraging him to make the choices, make the decisions. You can let me know. You don't necessarily need my input, but if you do, great, I'll help and support you throughout that process. But ultimately, I know that you're the one that's going to make the decision because this is your area of expertise. Like an example would be, maybe it's something that they do for a living. Maybe it's something that they do for fun, for a hobby, right? And if they're good at that, you're not going to tell them how essentially to do their job or how to do something that they're really, really good at. You're just going to trust them and you say, I trust you and I know you know what you're doing, right? That's 100% your area. That's it. And they want that as well. They want to feel like they're allowed to take initiative without being questioned about what they're doing, or about them respecting you or not respecting you, right? You don't like being questioned with certain things when you know you're good at it, right? When it comes to maybe being a mother, or maybe being a cook, or cooking, or cleaning. This is a home caretaker, right? Or maybe you are a coach, maybe you're a therapist and you are good at that. That's your job, that's what you do. Maybe you're a teacher and you don't want people to question you. You want them to trust that you know what you're doing and then come to you for guidance. And that's what essentially all of us, we want. They also want, men want appreciation and affirmation of their worth, their skills, their efforts. They want to feel valued and respected. And providing positive feedback can be deeply affirming in a relationship and at work as well. Another one, this is the one that men want and need, and this to them means respect, whereas for women it's a little bit different. Okay, so for men, they want direct communication, and that means if you're not feeling well, speak up. That means if something is bothering you, speak up, say something. They are not mind readers. They don't like us to beat around the bush and say things so that way we'll leave it for them to figure out. This is not how men operate. This is how we operate. Perfect example, and I'll say it in the simplest way possible. Women want to be lied to. Women want to be lied to. They want to be lied to in many different ways, in many different moments. But so that way it makes us feel good. Whereas men, they want to hear the truth. They want to hear the truth so that way they can fix it. See, when we're even talking about our feelings and emotions, something is bothering us, or we had a conversation with a friend and they disrespected us, a man is listening for the problem so he can give you a solution. Black and white. We expect a man to jump on board and have a bitch session with us, to talk and complain and join and say, yes, 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 honey, oh, she crazy, she this, and all these kind of things. But men, yes, they can learn to do that, but at the same time, you don't want them to be doing that. You want them to be in their masculine, you want to be in your feminine. So find someone else to do those things with, if that's your thing. Men want to hear it like it is. Let's say you cooked a meal. Is it good? He doesn't want to hear you, yes, it's good, I'm enjoying it. But you can still hear in your tone that you're holding something back. He wants to hear, it's great, but it would be better if you added salt, or that it's just missing salt. Whereas we women, tell me it's amazing, tell me it's great. Beat around the bush, at least in the moment, and then maybe later on, when I already got past how was my meal, you can tell me could have used a little bit of salt, or just not say anything at all, right? So this is one of the biggest differences between men and women. So, in other words, direct communication is important for a man. Tell him like it is. Otherwise, he's not going to know what the problem is, because he is not Einstein. There's only one Einstein, ever was, ever will be. And he's not going to know what to do unless you tell him. Speak up. Tell him. Men often view clear, direct communication as respectful, especially when it prevents misunderstandings and conflicts. You beating around the bush, you're trying to woman-splain something and help him to understand your feelings and emotions. He just wants to hear, right now, I'm not feeling like myself. I don't entirely know why, or if he is the reason why, or maybe somebody else is the reason why, even though realistically no one else is the reason. It's you. It's something that's been triggered within you. Then you let him know that's what it is. Maybe he said something in the beginning of the week and you couldn't stop replaying that in your head, and you're like, well, I'm still triggered by what you said back then, whereas he said it and it was completely done and gone and no longer existed, and you are just replaying it in your mind. And this is where they'll be like, oh my God, you're crazy, right? And it's not that you're crazy, it's that you are built different. We are, men and women are different. We like to think we're the same, but we're not. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And essentially, Martians and what Venus is, different species come together to coexist, to build a life together. And the way that you build a life together is you learn from him, he learns from you, and you learn from your kids, from other people, and you come and you share your common knowledge. And then your knowledge and his knowledge, and you're meant to be butting heads, so the way you learn from each other as well. So men want and need direct communication, and they like when you approach them with clarity and honesty, and it shows them that you respect them, that you don't think they're some sensitive little boy or young little boy who can't handle the truth. For some, maybe there was just women around the men and raising them, but for most, no. It's something that each and every one of us in our relationship needs to take time to figure out and learn on our own from each other and together as a couple. Also, they want supportive and non-intrusive care. What does that mean, right? Men feel respected when they are supported and cared for, offered without it being intrusive, without it being controlling, or that you're also trying to get something in return, as though that they're being parented. Right? If you're helping and supporting and they're triggered, pay attention to how you might be showing up as their parent would have or did. And this is why they would be triggered. No child likes to be controlled and told what to do. And this is one of the things I see across the board in practically all relationships. Until both couples become aware of it and fix that shit. And they're no longer telling each other what to do or how to do it. They're trusting that you got it, you're going to figure it out. I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to do it. Google it. Go do your own independent research and figure out what you want to do and how you want to do it. I'm not going to tell you. So now how men feel disrespected when they're criticized. of their abilities and their decisions. When they feel like that little toddler, a little child, as they once did, criticizing or questioning their abilities or their decision makes them feel disrespected, especially if done in a way that feels dismissive or undermining their competence, which of course is going to make them feel small. And a man also has an ego, just like a woman does. And the ego does not like to feel small. So what is going to happen? He is most likely going to speak up. Whereas some men, what they will do is they will completely shut down. They get quiet, they get into their head, and they will not speak. With women, same concept. One or the other, right? Even speaking up or shutting down. Also, they feel disrespected when the trust has been challenged, or there's no more trust, and no one likes to be micromanaged. It's like when I remember at one job, I was working at the bank, especially like in the beginning when this was in the beginning when I started, not especially, but in the beginning when I started, and I was still learning how to do everything, and I was good, making very little mistakes. But I remember the manager that we had, she didn't have a very good nickname. She was a very strong and driven woman. And this is, in some ways, another way to explain it, she was very masculine. She was raised in that way because of her background, because of her parents' background. So she was raised in a very tough way where she won't take shit, but she'll give shit. But this comes from a place of care and love and wanting to make sure that everyone is successful. Because if everyone is successful, then she's going to be successful, right? But she had a nickname, Hitler, Nazi, right? And long story short, she would stand behind me. And it wasn't just me. She would do that with everyone, just to help in any ways that she can to do a better job. So she would stand and literally felt like she was breathing down my neck. And this is where everyone would feel like, oh my God, I'm about to die, right? So you're literally in panic mode, and you're nervous, and you're clammy, and you're sweaty, and your voice shakes, right? So that's micromanagement. At least that was my experience and my interpretation of what micromanagement was. So from that experience on, anytime I felt like, or I caught myself micromanaging anything or anyone, I would step away. I'm like, nope, I remember how I felt, and I ain't doing that. So my objective has always been, I trust you, you got this. You will figure it out. I figured it out, I did it. So can you. If one person can, everyone can. We all wait for that one person to show us what's possible, so that way we can all recognize and realize that it is also possible for us. It just means that we need to get to that point, right? For some people, it might be a few steps up. For others, it might be 1,000 steps up to get to that point. So, men don't like to be micromanaged. Being overly controlled and micromanaged or consistently questioning them can make men feel untrusted, leading to feeling of disrespect. They also don't like public embarrassment. I'm sure you don't either, but you are probably out with your kids a lot more than your partner, and you're used to feeling embarrassed with your kids. Mommy, I want this, I want that. You say no, and it's a temper tantrum or screaming or whatever it is that the kids do that might be inappropriate as well, that you've learned to not feel so embarrassed or embarrassed at all in public, whereas for your man, it's a little different. And for men, they also don't like to be called out, especially in a public place, or belittled, especially in a public place. A public place means that there's at least one or more spectator, whether it's another family member or a stranger or a friend. They don't like that. It feels embarrassing being treated in that way in public. So if you want to say something, say it after, in the privacy of your own space. Don't launder your logic for everyone to see. And men, to them, it would also feel like they're, of course, not good enough, and maybe not doing a good enough job, depending on what it is that they're feeling embarrassed about. And, of course, then it can make them feel like their social standing is being lowered as well. They also want, when they're feeling like they've put an effort, when they've done something and you don't validate it, they feel invalidated of their efforts. That's another way how they can feel disrespect. Ignoring their personal preferences or their boundaries as well is another way how men, just like women, often will feel disrespected when their personal boundaries or preferences are ignored or brushed aside, especially if it feels like their needs or values are not being considered. I'll give you one example. And this example might be something that feels personal to you, something that you have experienced or continue to experience, but or might not. Maybe you know someone. So there are different types of people, and this goes for men and women. Sometimes there might be, in a relationship, one of you might be more touchy-feely, want constant physical affection, a kiss bye and a kiss when you come back and a hug, and maybe sitting down and cuddling or holding hands or holding arms, whereas your partner might not want to be touched. They might want to just sit there by themselves and have space, right? So this is also important for men, just like it is for women. Those boundaries need to be respected. That doesn't mean that you won't get it. It just means that there are going to be times when he's simply not going to want to cuddle with you because he just needs his alone time. Men need their alone time so they can recharge their testosterone. You got a lot of hormones that you're managing, that you're working through. For men, they have testosterone and estrogen. Testosterone turns into estrogen. I think it's in the brain that it changes into estrogen. So when they have too much of estrogen, they naturally will start to pull away. And for us women, we need testosterone because that is what helps us to get things done. That's our, let's call it motivation and an inspiration kind of hormone where we're actually getting things done. So, and for men, because they're always go, 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 get it done, see a problem, solve it, see a problem, solve it. So, now let me take a peekaboo at, where did it go? At the comments. Okay. Oh, yeah, see? Hey, Rebecca, how are you doing? Happy Halloween to you as well. Rebecca says, let me open it up. That Rebecca says, I beat around the bush. Yeah, that men don't like that. They don't like that. They just want straightforward, tell me how it is, tell me like it is. And the more you do it, the easier it will become, and the more he'll understand how you speak frankly, right? How you can talk straightforward, because it's not something you're used to, because you're used to beating around the bush, because you don't want to hurt his feelings and his emotions. You don't want to upset him. You don't want to trigger him. You want to maybe even avoid argument or fight, but by doing that, it actually ends up creating a fight and argument. But if you yourself, let's say, needed the space or alone time or whatever it is that you needed, and you spoke up and you said what you needed, he will give that to you, because a man is a provider. And if you also go and Google and see what the meaning of a provider means, it also means providing everything that you need. So if you need time alone, he will do his best to provide it for you, just like you would as well. If you see that he needs some loving, tender care, even if it means him being by himself, that you would give that to him as well. So beating around the bush, it doesn't, in the end, like I said, more often than not, it tends to make things worse. Here's how I'll put it to you. The idea that comes to mind of like illustration or visual is, if you go to, I watched a lot of like court shows and judges and all that kind of stuff, right? So one thing that I see in these shows is that the less you say, the better it is. The more you say, the worse it can be, and then it can be used against you later on in court. So this is why it's important. If you're being asked a question that's yes or no, you say yes or no. No excuses, no beating around the bush, no trying to be gentle and soft with feelings and emotions, because even when you are, they can still get hurt. So just say yes or no. If they're asking you a yes or no question, give them yes or no. If they wanted you to answer in an elaborate way, then they can ask you an open-ended question. Right? Don't say more than you need to, than you have to. Straightforward, boom, done, that's it. Where do you want to go out for dinner? There. And if you don't know where you want to go out for dinner, and you know that's something he's good at picking, you say, you know what? I trust your judgment. I am excited to go to any place that you pick for us. Because I know every time you pick something, it's always been amazing. Right? Maybe even let him pick something for you from the menu. Or maybe it's the other way around, where he knows, like, I can pick a place, but I can't pick the plate. And therefore, you can pick the food for me. So play into each other's gifts. Meaning, what are you good at? What is he good at? And play into that. Encourage you and support or motivate each other in those areas, so that way each one of you flourishes in those. Rebecca says, try to give the background and set the stage. They don't care for that. If they wanted to see a show, they would have gone to see a show. If they want to see a movie, they will watch the movie. But when it comes to communication, they want open, honest, direct, to the point. They don't care for the stage. They don't care for the background. They don't care that it was a breezy, windy day and my hair was flying everywhere. No. What happened? What is it that you want? They don't care for the whole story. If they wanted to read a novel, they would read a novel. So that's how they want it. That's it. And with your girlfriends, they're the ones that want to hear everything. Even pay attention. This is how you can learn, even with your girlfriends, with your friends, with people. Pay attention to how they talk, how they express themselves, how detailed they get with their stories. And if they're straight to the point, then that's the person that you're going to be straight to the point. You're not going to beat around the bush. You're not going to tell them the whole back end story, just a little bit, if even anything, and then that's it. And this is where you'll notice that with your man, they didn't give you the background, they didn't set at the stage, they didn't do any of that. They just tell you, boom, shock you right there with what happened. Like, oh, tell me more. Tell me everything, right? Most men are not like that. There are men who are, but most are not. Practicing getting to the point, great. I love hearing that. So continue doing that. You're going to get so much better at it. You're going to become an expert at getting to the point. But it still triggers because my approach is not gentle enough. So then practice different ways of how you can say what you're saying that would be gentle enough and come from a place of love that will resonate with your partner. Sometimes it helps to say it in ways that if you were in the receiving end, how would you want them to speak to you, to say what's going on, what's bothering you, without beating around the bush, like straightforward in 5 words or less type of approach, right? That would be the ideal goal. Say less. And this is why men say, oh my God, women talk so much, they talk a lot, they just never shut up. Well, it's because there's a lot of background and setting the stage, all these things, the fluff that we add to kind of get to the point. No, just get to the point and say it how it is. That's it. No backstory, no going into really I was born on this day, on this time, and this and that, and then explain the whole entire life story just so you can say one thing. Most men, like I said, they don't care for that. They just want it straightforward, right? And this is where we're all we have access to feminine and masculine. And with men, some men will be a little bit more feminine, while others will be masculine and very manly men. And then you have very feminine men, and you have all this in between, just like women. There are women who are very masculine, and there are women who are very feminine, and everyone else is kind of in between. This dial, this radar that tells you where you are, helps you to understand yourself and can help you to understand your partner. So gauge conversation based on your partner as well. Okay. This reminds me that I want to start studying effective communication. Ooh, yeah. I love that one. Effective communication, and it's going to be a game changer. 100%. It's going to be a game changer. They're so annoying, lol. I will assume you talk about the men and their straightforwardness. Just tell me how it is, right? Or tell me like it is. So now, why women accept disrespect? I spent so much time talking about the difference between men and women, and what's respect and what's disrespect in both genders, in both sexes, right? Now, why women actually accept it and allow it is cultural conditioning. Many women are taught from a very young age to prioritize harmony, caregiving, and the needs of others, often at their own expense. And this ingrained good girl mold, deeply ingrained default program of a good girl, this conditioning that you most likely have received, and that's why you're listening to this and watching this, can make difficult to assert boundaries or put boundaries into place and speak up, or even to recognize disrespect for what it actually is. Some women don't even realize it. They just brush it off on, oh, he's just, doesn't feel so good, and he'll be better tomorrow. But then tomorrow is not better. I know a couple of women who work with domestic abuse survivors, and they've lost some women because those women kept going back, keep going back, and not setting any boundaries, not seeing things as red flags or disrespect, and we're very quick to forgive. This cultural conditioning that they received as a good girl. They just need a little bit more love and a little bit more care, and then he will change and he'll be better. But in some cases, that's not how it is. Now, another reason why women accept it or allow it is attachment and loyalty. Their emotional attachment, a woman's emotional attachment, is very powerful, and it can make it very hard and challenging to separate love from respect. Women may even feel that loyalty and commitment are meant to, they're almost like a badge, that it's part of life, of enduring difficulties and overcoming them and surviving them, and not actually working through them and healing through them and learning through them and from them. Even when they feel hurt or disrespected, they continue to feel like it's what they're meant to do. They're meant to endure. But that doesn't feel like life. Doesn't feel free. Feels like entrapment. And the bond that is shared and the history that is shared may feel more important than addressing this negative behavior, leading them to rationalize, to overlook it. Meaning that you've have this relationship, you've been with this person for so long, and now you're in this state where you are attached and you're expressing your loyalty through not speaking up and saying what's up and what's bothering you, for the fear of, in one way or another, losing them. That they are not going to hear you or accept you, and that maybe they'll walk out. And in some cases, wouldn't it be better that way? Depending on the relationship you're in, it might be better. It might not. But if you don't speak up and you don't speak your truth, how would you know? You can sit and assume that your partner is not going to hear you, not going to help you, not support you, but you're assuming. And they might actually be like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that. I'll fix it. I won't do that again. And then they won't. So also fear of loss and fear of conflict, because many women are conditioned to fear being confrontational, because it feels scary and overwhelming, and they fear losing their relationship because, for many different reasons, but it feels like a very powerful incentive to keep quiet and not say anything, to just ignore the disrespect and avoid the conflict, so that way you don't end up losing that person. But then they also, energy speaks louder than words, they can also tell something is wrong, something is off, and until you get it out and express it and work through it, that will continue to be that I feel something is wrong, something is off. Another reason why women ignore or allow or accept disrespect is their low self-worth or their self-doubt. This one is a very, it's usually one of the biggest reasons why women won't say anything. And if a woman is struggling with her self-worth or her self-doubt, she may believe that she doesn't deserve better and that she's somehow at fault. And she will see all the faults in herself and in the way that she's being, showing up, what she's saying, what she's not saying, and continue to beat herself up, because her self-worth and self-doubt have completely taken over. And this stems from childhood experiences, also from previous toxic relationships. Sometimes it might be even the same relationship, and the phrase PTSD comes to mind, where post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Which means that you've gone through something. Now you have a story, an idea, an experience in your mind, and it was difficult for you, and therefore you are in one shape or form traumatized about that experience, and you don't want the same thing to happen again. You don't want to feel the same ways that you did before. So it's easier to avoid it and not deal with it. But that's in the short term. In the long term, in the long run, it will be harder. Because if you choose to do the easy things now, that means that your life will be harder later. But if you choose to do the hard things right away, your life will be easier later. I've learned that the hard way. I'm sure most of you have learned that the hard way. That trying to make life easy for everyone in every way possible, in return, you're the one that has a really difficult life. And choosing to do the easy thing and not speaking up and not saying and not expressing myself, not speaking about my needs, my wants, my desires, what's bothering me, what's triggering me, not speaking up, made things harder. But when I started to speak up and open up, it made things easier. Not right away, of course, because it's not easy to speak up, but little by little, it became easier and easier and easier. And I continue to learn and grow and evolve and get better in those areas of my life, and especially when it comes to expressing myself. So another one reason that women allow and accept disrespect is that they believe that, this one I was really guilty of, that he will realize what he said and what he did, and then will come back and apologize or understand where I'm coming from. But this is me observing and experiencing a situation or a conversation in the way and from my own perspective, from my own lens, whereas the other person has their own lens, their own perspective, and they're not going to see things as they are or as I see them. They're going to see those things as they are, on their own, through their own lens, through their own filters, from their own ego filters as well, and not from the way that I do. And the way that they will get closer to seeing things like I do is if I express myself and let them know what they did or what they said, and how I interpreted that, how I took that in, how I was triggered and I was bothered. And that's not to say that you blame them for everything, for all the buttons and triggers that you have, because they didn't create that trigger. They weren't there putting that trigger in you, but they help you to see it and then identify it. So this is where not having a conversation on a very personal level to them, but a personal to you, that when you did that, I felt this way. Not you did this, right? You did that. But when you said that, this is what it brought up for me. This is how it made me feel. And that's why it's important to speak up and say something, because if you are sitting there brewing and stewing and assuming that, oh, they'll hear what I was trying to say, they'll hear what they were saying and that they shouldn't have, but they're not going to. This is you believing that they will change, or believing that there's potential to change when maybe there is no potential to change. And I'm not saying there's not. I'm saying that there are situations, especially if you're dealing with a total narcissist, that you might be wasting your time and energy. And that might be, it's not to say that they can't change, it just means that it might take a really, really, really long time for them to change. Do you really want to be around for their ups and downs and everything they're going to be going through? That's why they're experts for helping narcissists to work through their narcissistic behaviors and thought patterns and habits and traits, so that way they're no longer that individual. But it must come from that person, from the narcissist themselves, to want to change. And they need to be aware of that as well. And this is where that's the one that I'm referring to, that you might believe that they're going to change and there's potential. And even though there is, but do you really want to be around for the whole entire thing, right? And you can hold on to this hope, this thought that they will improve on their own experience, or they're going to hear what you're saying or how you're saying it, but they might not. They still have their own lens. They still have their own filters that take the words that you're saying and translate it in the way that they get it, in the way that they understand it. See, we all think from our own individual level of awareness, and we've grown and evolved and done work on ourselves, while other people might not be. And this is where it becomes challenging to have a conversation with people who have not spent any time or energy working on themselves. And no matter what you say, they're not going to get it, they're not going to hear it, because they need to go through those experiences, those things and lessons that life will teach them, in order for them to learn firsthand what you're trying to get across. So it's like speaking to a deaf person in some ways. Another reason why women allow and accept disrespect is codependency and patterns of people pleasing. I'm a recovering people pleaser, and it's one of the things that I was talking about when it comes to women being very accommodating, and codependent tendency can cause women to prioritize the other person's needs, the other person's feelings and wants and desires above their own. They are self-sacrificing, and the only person that notices that sacrifice is you, or the person that is sacrificing. The other person might notice a bit, but they don't really truly know what you're actually sacrificing in order for them to have what they want to have. And over time, this people-pleasing patterns can erode a sense of personal boundaries, making it difficult to distinguish disrespect and the parts that are harmful. And then also on top of that, there's past trauma, like I was talking about PTSD, and the conditioning that you received. Maybe you grew up in a household where you experienced certain things, and you've learned to not say anything, to not speak up, or to avoid, or to manipulate what is happening in the external world in a way that makes you feel like you are winning, and that what's happening is actually not bad. Now, it might be helpful in some situations, and in others, it might be very damaging. And that's something that you as an individual can figure out, if it's helping or not. In many cases, this approach of manipulating an experience or situation to make you feel like you are okay and you're winning can be damaging, because you're not actually acknowledging the reality. It is a form of escape and avoidance, of dealing and not dealing with the situation or this problem or this challenge that is in front of you. And until you acknowledge that, validate it and accept it, and then do something about it, it will continue to stay there. So, now with everything that has been said and done, I would love to hear, what have you learned about respect and disrespect today that you didn't know before. There must have been something that I shared that you didn't know, or you knew maybe in some level, but didn't fully know. And I would love to hear what that is. And then potentially, there might be an opportunity for you to do something about it. And what would you be doing today about this newfound knowledge or realization that was time for you to have? So that's the questions I have for you. Let me quickly read a couple of more comments from Rebecca. Rebecca says we can't make assumptions based on their potential. Oh, definitely we can't. But a lot of people do. A lot of people do. Even though we can't, sometimes we still come from a place of the caregiver and we make assumptions of somebody else's potential and hoping or assuming that they're going to get better and do better. But how can they if they don't know what's wrong? And then Rebecca says, I waited 13 years for my ex to change and see the light and realize, LOL, never happened, and he still blames me for his failures. I don't like giving labels, so I'm not going to give labels, but there are certain personalities. There are some people that their conditioning goes beyond the surface level, with just like all of us, our conditioning goes beyond the surface level, that it's so deeply ingrained that we don't understand what we don't understand. And some people will face who they are in this lifetime while others will not. Some people will realize and recognize who they've been, and that's not who they are, and they will learn how to take ownership of every single part of their life. And until they do, they're going to live a miserable existence. They're not going to be happy, and they're not going to be free. They're just going to be angry and potentially even vindictive towards everyone else, because hurt people hurt people. So, which means that they're hurting, and it's important to be empathetic. We're all empaths in this community, and it's important to continue to be empathetic and understanding, but does not mean we need to forgive, does not mean we need to continue letting them get away with it and supporting and validating them through that. It's just, you understand? Great. That's it, right? I'm going to do me and you do you. Let them be. Let them wallow in their self-pity. Let them continue to stay in that world of everything and everyone is out to get me, that everyone is crazy and I'm the only sane one. Why can't they see it? It's very level 2 energy. So let them stay there. Let them be there. It's not your place to take them out. It's not your place to get them out. It's their own place. You cannot help those who do not want to be helped, no matter how much you want to, no matter how much knowledge and wisdom you have to help them. They're not even going to hear it because they're deaf to it. And until they get brain surgery to be able to hear, the hearing implants, essentially, they're not gonna hear it. And I'm not talking about literal brain surgery, obviously. I'm referring to the mindset, to fixing and healing their mindset so that way they can actually hear these things. But even then, they will not hear the things as they are. They will hear the things as they are, as that person is, right? They're not going to hear you say those things, even if that was you. They'll hear them from their own mind as if they're the ones that came up with it. So let them, and you don't even have to be their cheerleader. Just let them. And then Rebecca says, that's the other thing. If you're around when they are going through shits, they will blame you for everything wrong. Yeah. And this is where, great, you're going through that. I understand. I'm going to let you be. I'm going to let you work through whatever you're working through, because my energy, my peace is important to me, and you got to protect your peace. Set that boundary that if you're going through something, you go through it. I don't necessarily need to be involved in that, because you're meant to go through it yourself. You're meant to grow through it yourself. Let me know how I can help and support you through that process, as long as that person is a person you actually want to help and is worthy and deserving of your help as well. Not everyone is, right? Just like not everybody is worthy and deserving of your forgiveness. Then let me know how I can help and support you through what you're growing through, because I can tell you're experiencing a lot of growing pains, or I sense that you're experiencing some growing pains, and I want to be here for you, but I don't need to be here for you in a form of a punching bag. So express yourself clearly, straight to the point. They don't want to hear the bush. Exactly. They don't want to hear any bush or around the bush. They want to hear no story, nothing. They just want, tell me what it is, what I did. Sometimes they will fight it as well, and usually when they fight it, they know that there's parts of it that is true. You can have a dialogue around it and get to learn who each other is, who you are and who he is, and grow together. And not take things personally, which also means sometimes reminding the other person that there's a more effective way to communicate. There's a healthy way to communicate. It does not need to be made personally, and if you struggle how to do that, there's so much information out there, even for free, to help all of us in learning how to become better communicators and healthy communicators, and especially when it comes to our relationships. So that is all that I want to share with you all today. Looking forward to hearing what was that one thing that you learned today that you didn't know before, or you realized that you knew on one level or another, that helped you to connect the dots and have that ooh, aha moment type of a moment. So looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you. And other than that, I was going to mention this in the beginning, and then I completely got way too excited with the information, but better late than never. So the Imposter Banishing Quest is continuing to go on, and it's still currently live. Soon it will not be live. It will be just recorded lessons, and the feedback that I am getting, that it is a very amazing and powerful quest that women are taking upon themselves and feeling and growing a lot. And we're actually going to be having our first live Q&A today, very shortly, and that's why I want to make sure that I wrap up, go to the loo, and hydrate myself, as my pecker and my throat are getting a little bit sore from all the talking. And I'll be doing a lot less talking. I'll be doing a lot more listening. This is where I love these group coaching calls. So just want to continue to remind each and every one of you that the doors are never closed to this quest, that they will always be open. It's just the live experience with the live lessons is the part that you got to experience as you hop on board in the beginning. But the doors will continue to stay open. So if you're interested in the Imposter Banishing Quest, because it helps you to do that, it helps you to identify that imposter, that inner critic, that voice within you, and then banish them from within, and know how to deal with that inner voice when it comes up. Because it does not just disappear entirely, it just takes a backseat and becomes more of a voice that helps and supports you, because you heal the parts of you that this voice is speaking from and through that are not helping and supporting you on your own personal growth and evolution. And also, of course, like if you grow in one area of your life, every area of your life improves. And this is where your relationships with people will also improve, since we do talk about relationships a lot, because this is a common denominator of practically every single woman that I work with, that there are challenges in their relationships. And challenges are great because then you get to grow and learn from them and become a better version for yourself and for your partner as well, and be there for them in times when they need you the most. Rebecca says, that was one thing I learned about getting to the point. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Glad to hear. Just get to the point. That's it. No beating around the bush. Tell them like it is. And if they don't like it, say it in a different, better way that they would like it. Or even invite them to help you in, okay, well, how would you prefer I would express myself and still get that same point across? Help me to learn how you would want me to communicate with you. And that can feel like, oh, wow, wait, she wants to know how I want her to talk to me? That's great. Let me help you. Let me tell you how you can tell me next time, right? And at the same time, they might be like, well, I don't even know how. Okay, well, let's brainstorm together. Was it a specific word that I said, or was it the tone? Was it my facial expression? What was it that triggered this reaction that you gave me? Help me understand. And when I understand, I can do better next time. And the same thing goes for them. Anyways, that's all. Thank you, everybody. And until we see each other next Thursday at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time for another one of these weekly, Get Your Shit Together weekly live guidance podcasts that I do on Thursdays, or maybe we'll see each other on Monday at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time ish for weekly card reading that I do in this group as well. And until we see each other next time, bye everybody. Have an amazing rest of your day and weekend if we don't talk until next time.